So thank you all for confirming in the chat. So let's get started. If you remember, we were talking about this pipeline yesterday, right? In the last class, we were talking about this pipeline wherein developers will push the code to their repositories, and then like from Git, once there is a code change, it would be pulled, continuous builds, continuous testing, continuous deployment, continuous monitoring, and the reports would be sent accordingly to the teams, right? This is what we were talking about yesterday, the CI/CD pipeline. And if you see here, the first part is the Git, right? So what should we learn from DevOps perspective, and who should learn Git? What is the Git is all about? Git and GitHub. We'll be learning here today. Is my voice audible and clear? Some of them, like one of them actually saying voice is Pediraju, seems it's a problem from your end. It's good for everyone else. Yesterday also it was clear for everyone else. Now everyone confirmed that in the chat window as well. So please check from your end. There might be some network issue from your end. Please try to rejoin. All right. So coming back, so this is the CI/CD pipeline we were talking about. So the agenda is we would be focusing on each section, like we would dissect each section here, like each tool, right? We'll dissect this pipeline. We'll zoom into each tool here, learn from basics till advanced, and come back and would integrate into the pipeline. That's how we go up with every tool. So today we are going to get started with Git. We'll be talking about what is Git, what is a version control system, what is GitHub, who are all should learn it, why a DevOps engineer should learn it. All of that we'll see. So let's begin with the version control system today. Any questions, if you have, you can raise your hand so that I can unmute, or else you can also use the chat window. So let's begin with a version control system. So first, let's begin with what is a version control system. Some of you might be using it, or there might be people who are new to it. So let me explain you. Imagine there's a folder or shared folder where all the project work is kept. I'm talking about a scenario without version control system. Okay, I'm talking about something without version control system. So imagine there's a folder where all the files are kept for the project, right? And there are multiple people who are working on it, right? Like let's say there is a person B and there are person A. There's a person A. So let's say A want to make the changes. So A have got this file to his local computer, made the changes. B also got this file, made the changes. And after day one, B kept the file back, right, to this shared folder so that everyone can see his modifications. He placed his file on day one. And on day two, B kept his file back with his changes. Same file, he kept his file back on day two. Now tell me, after day two, like finally, this file one, will have which person changes? If you do not use any version control system, which person changes will be placed in this project or the shared folder? Only person A, right? Here what's happening? Only day two changes will be there, meaning person A changes are overwriting person B changes, correct? B doesn't know this is happening. Even A doesn't know that this is happening, that he is overwriting one changes of the other. So each of them doesn't know this is happening. If this keep on continuing, imagine there'll be a team of people, like 10 people might be there. If they have to work on the same file and if it is overwriting changes of one another, it doesn't work in reality. Am I correct? Project may be messed up. Project will be corrected if this keep on going. So there should be like a system. We need a system which can have a better control on this, because see, people, like let's say these are developer have to focus on his code changes and all. He cannot check whether someone is overwriting his changes, or how secure he can keep it, right? So there comes a system which should allow multiple people working on it, right? Which should allow multiple people working on it without overwriting or without backup, right? So what is the other use case? What version control system can do? Let's suppose application is working fine till 7 a.m. today. Something went wrong and application got crashed at 7:15. So I need to identify what happened in between and immediately undo or get those changes back. Right? How do you know what happened in between this, like in 15 minutes? So we need a detailed logging where a person, like person A, is making changes on file 1 on day 2. Right? So this kind of detail history, and also on line 7, this kind of detailed history, if we have, so that we can revert those changes, we can undo those changes and bring the system back. Correct? So we need a system which can do a better logging, a detailed logging, right? So that we can focus on our work rather than checking or managing the logs and all. Correct? So that's another thing what a version control system does. Also, let's suppose we are working on the file 1 and it's a version 1. Client came with modifications and they want to have a version 2, right? So if they want to have a version 2, right, let's say they might have overwritten this, they might have edited the same file and made it. Let's say after 6 months, client want to go back to the previous version. Will that be possible? Right? He had a lot of rework, right? Instead of this, instead of overwriting or editing the same file, we might have maintained versions, right? So which is again possible through version control system. So which can help us logging, which can help us maintain versions, backups, all of these are possible with a version control system. So version control systems help us manage our projects, manage our files. So who should use it? Is this applicable only for developers? For developers, it is mandatory because they'll have the program files and all. Even testers need it. They'll have automation test cases, automation test scripts. All those files should be managed, maintained, right? So developers would need this. Testers also, like operations team, as well as like DevOps teams. Like let's say if it is a DevOps methodology, DevOps teams would have the Kubernetes manifest files, right? These are not coding. You have the templates manifest where you can configure your deployments, and the Terraform config files, right? Ansible playbooks, all of them can be version controlled. Means basically any static file can be version controlled, right? So everyone or anyone in IT should know this, should learn version control systems, right? So that is one of the perspectives of version control systems to manage the project, right? And another perspective of using version control system is, what is another perspective of using version control system? Another perspective of using version control system is to integrate it in the pipeline. Like let's say, okay, developers are developing an application. Whenever they made a changes, as a DevOps engineer, I need to identify the change. I need to identify, okay, there is some change made by developers and trigger the pipeline. So how do we do that? So that's another perspective. We need to learn the version control system. So we will be learning both the perspectives. First, we are starting it with the first view, like how to manage your project, how to manage your files with a version control system. Once we learn this thoroughly, we'll get into the second step of integrating and using it into the pipeline. Am I clear who should use it? Any static files version can be version controlled. If it is developer, it could be Java files, C Sharp, Perl, PHP, Python, or if it's a DevOps engineer, Kubernetes files or Terraform or whatever, or script files for anyone else, or testers, they will have their test scripts. Any simple text files also can be version controlled. So now we were learning version control system irrespective of the file. We will do it with some simple text files, right? Later on, like once we start our Kubernetes, Terraform and all, we'll be having those replaced with the actual files. Am I clear? Appreciate your quick responses. Any questions, you can raise your hand. I'll unmute so that you can talk, or else you can confirm with thumbs up. Everyone good to go? Can I proceed, or anyone have any further queries? Thanks for confirming in the chat. How about others? Are we good to go? So thank you. Thanks for confirming. So now that we understood what is a version control system, let's talk about version control systems architecture. Right? Based on their architecture, they were categorized as centralized version control system and distributed version control system. So what is a centralized version control system and what is a distributed? Let's see. Like, see, this is the architecture of centralized version control systems. If you see here, this is the central server or remote repository where all the project work, all the code bases. And this is the workstation of each individual collaborators, or like if it is a development team, developers, or if we are talking about DevOps team, DevOps engineers. So this is the central server or remote server where all the project work is kept. Everyone will place their changes here, and each individual DevOps engineer will connect to it, get the changes from remote, make changes, make their changes, put the files back. This is how they work. This is very straightforward and simple architecture. And this kind of architecture has got certain drawbacks. First thing is, always network connectivity should be there, right? To connect to the central server or remote server, you need to have network. Am I correct? If for some reasons, let's say network is disconnected, you can't connect to the remote and do anything, right? So entire work is halted if network connectivity is not there or network is disconnected, right? That's one of the drawback. Another thing is, like all the code base, all the project work is kept on the central or remote server. If for some reasons the central server is gone, chances of recovery are less because it works like a single source of truth. Means you have all the files, all the project work at a single central location, right? So chances of recovery are less. So these are the drawbacks of this kind of architecture. And SVN, TFS, different version control systems, they follow this architecture like SVN, TFS. To overcome these drawbacks, we have another architecture called distributed version control system architecture. Can I go ahead with the next one, like the distributed one? Is this much clear for all of you? Yes, Sajay, you are unmuted.
Uh, could you please repeat again?
Centralized.
Yes, yes.
Like in centralized architecture, you'll have a central or remote server, right? This is where all the project files would be kept. And whoever want to make changes, like would be connecting to the central server, get those files to their local computer, make changes and put it back. Right? That's
Yeah,
how every individual will connect to it. So what happens if, let's say there is no network, like they can't work on it. The entire work is halted because there's no network. They cannot connect to the central. They cannot get the files to their local or put their changes back to the remote.
you can change number of people can access the files from central, and they can make changes and they kept again.
Yes, like whoever have access to this. Like let's
Okay.
say three people are given.
It's totally depends upon a network.
Huh.
And one more where the chance of recovering files is less. This is the main agenda of central version control system.
Main disadvantage, yes, because it's just one single source of truth. Like whatever changes kept made will be kept here. If this is gone, this is crashed, like there are very less chance of recovery.
Most of you're going to use is central version control system or distributed control system.
Distributed
Yes.
is the one which came up to overcome these drawbacks.
Okay. These central version control system are not going to use.
SV and TFS are using it. We were learning Git, which is distributed.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Nothing. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Yes, Adishwar, you are unmuted. You can speak.
Hi, ma'am. Good morning.
Yeah.
What is the SVN and TFS, ma'am?
Like we have Git version control system, these are other version control systems, which follows the centralized architecture.
Okay. Do you have any full form of SVN and TFS?
Do you have any
Full form SVN and TFS.
subversion?
Subversion and what about the TFS, ma'am?
TFS, I don't remember it.
Okay. Okay, got it.
So this is the centralized architecture. And coming to the distributed one, this is the distributed architecture, and Git follows this distributed architecture. Distributed architecture is the one which is used, particularly the one which is used in real time is Git. Git is the one which is used in reality. Almost all the modern DevOps projects uses Git because of this distributed architecture and because of the advantages it has got. So you have got Git. Git follows this distributed architecture. The other version control system which follows this is Mercurial, Fossils, and so on. But out of all of this, Git is very widely used. And like I said, all the modern DevOps projects uses Git. And let me show you, before I cover this architecture, let me show you this graph. See, this is the version control system comparison trend. When you compare Git with SVN, TFS, Fossils, you can see blue one is for Git. See, Git is clearly the winner in the category. It is so widely used, right? There is no full form for Git. So now coming here, so Git is a distributed architecture, right? So yes, this is the remote server or central server where all the project work would be kept. Central or remote where all the project work would be kept. And this is the workstation of each individual user. This is the workstation of each individual user. And if you closely observe, let's say this is DevOps person 1. If you closely observe, there's one more repository. This is called local repository, right? Every user will have a copy of the central repository in his system, which is called as the local repository, right? So there's a local, and again they will not directly work on it. They will directly work on this working directory or working copy, right? They'll make changes on this working directory or working copy. Then they will push the changes to local. From local, that will be pushed to remote. Right, this is how it works. It's like a 3 steps before they move their changes to central server. I repeat, every user will have some other folder or directory where they'll make the changes actually, right? So from here, it will be pushed to local repository. From local, it will be pushed to central server or remote repository. So this is how it works. Understood. So it's like a 3 steps before your changes goes on here. So similarly, same is the case. Everyone is having their own local repository, which is a copy from remote. They'll get a copy from remote and place it. Again, they'll work on some other directory, which is called working directory, right? And this is how it works. Now, let's see how it overcomes the drawbacks. Let's suppose there is no network connectivity. Network is disconnected to this remote. Even though network is disconnected from the remote, they can still work on this local, right? Local repository means just they have to access their hard disk. They have to make the changes here, right? Which is quite possible. Of course, they may not be able to push the changes to remote. Pull and push commands we will learn. Pull means, let's say, getting a copy from remote. Push means your modifications you're pushing to remote. So these may not be possible, but still entire work is not halted even though there is no network connectivity. Right? Got it? Understood? So this is what the problem is overcome. You are working on your local. Once network is restored, you can push to remote. Also, this would not be a drawback because push and pull commands are less frequent. Majority of the times we'll be working on our local repository, not on remote. Push and pull once in a while. Once your complete work, like once your complete changes are done, you will be pushing it to remote, right? Got it right, everyone? So though network connectivity is not there, still work can be continued. And also majority of the times, because you work on local and once everything is done, you push or you pull. So most of the times you're working with your local. So it is also faster. Git is faster when compared with other version control systems. And another thing, chances of recovery are more. Let's say something happened to the central server, somehow it got crashed. Chances of recovery are more because everyone is having a copy of the remote, right? So there are good chances of recovery if something goes wrong. So that's how distributed version control systems eliminates the problem of the centralized version control systems. Understood, everyone? Magesh, you are unmuted. You can speak.
Now consider if A and B both are
Sorry. Please go on. Can you unmute and go on, please?
yeah. So A and B is there. Example,
Mm.
A is also pushing the code at the same time. B is also pushing the same time.
Mm.
How that will be considered here in Git?
We'll cover those scenarios with hands-on, right? In the beginning, I told you Git will allow, or version control systems will allow multiple people working on the same file without overwriting or without ignoring, right? That is possible. How? We are going to see those with the hands-on scenarios. I'm
Okay.
explaining you the architecture now theoretically. In few minutes, we'll be setting up our Git. We'll be doing many scenarios will be covered as such. How
Okay.
I
Okay. Because I thought it is also some theoretical will be there. That is the reason I asked.
no, we will do the hands-on. No worries. So you got this clear, right? The distribution version control system and how it eliminates the problem of centralized. So this is the architecture of distributed version control system in general, right? And like the tools comparison we have seen. This is the architecture of Git in particular, right? Let's go on. See, this is, like I said, this is the local repository, right? Or else the local workstation of individual user, and this is a remote. And if you see here, like I'm talking about, everyone will have a copy from remote, which is called local repository. It is copied from remote. Now, every individual user will be like, everyone will have this kind of setup. And they will not directly make changes here. Rather, they will have another folder called working directory or some folder or a directory, whatever you call it. They'll make changes here. Again, once they make changes, they cannot just push the changes from here to here. This is not possible, right? So that's not possible. Then what they have to do? There is some like 3 steps before they push their changes. From working directory, they have to move them to staging area. Again, what is staging area? Staging area is like a virtual area, or else it's called index area, right? First, your changes should be pushed to this staging or index area, right? There are some commands. What is git add and all? We'll learn the commands with the hands-on. Just understand the flow. First, your changes should be moved to staging area. Once you move to staging area, then only you can move to local repository, right? Then only they can move those changes to local repository. From local repository, they can move those changes to remote repository. This is how it goes. It's like 3 steps before your changes goes to remote. Until and unless your changes goes to remote, let's suppose your changes are just in your local. They are confined only for yourself. No one else can see the changes. Understood? These are just confined for yourself. Only once you move to remote, like that's where everyone else can see the changes, right? So this is called Git tree or Git architecture. It's a 3 steps before your changes reaches remote and everyone else. And here, let me tell you, you might be having a question. What is the importance of the index area or staging area? Why do you need it, right? It's like a preview or a pre-check before your changes moves to local. Let me give you a simple example. Like if you have 10 files, out of them you want to just put 5 files in remote. You will just move 5 files to staging area, right? Means it gives you a better control on better what changes are going to local. We will see all of this in hands-on in few minutes. We are going to get to our lab and see what is this working directory, staging area, local repository and all. But just make a note of these things, right? And let me tell you a very another interesting points here. See, this working directory, local repository are actually physically one and the same folder. It's the same folder actually. Then how come you say it's working directory and local repository, isn't it? Logically, they are different. Means, what is meant by logically they are different? Let me give you an example before we go for the lab. Let's imagine that's a folder. Okay. You have created a folder, named it as Git demo. Now, this is the working directory. The same is the local repository. How come it? Let me tell you. Suppose you just created a file here. Means it is set to be in the working directory. Okay, like let's say you copied some file from somewhere and placed it here, or else you created a file, whatever it is, whether you created or copied, you just brought a file here, means it's set to be in the working directory. If you could add it into the staging area, exact commands we will learn in the lab. Suppose you have run this command on this file, then it is set to be in the staging area. And then let's say you move them to, you run this command git commit, then these files will be set to be in local repository. But all of that, that's the same folder, git demo folder or project folder, some project name you may give to your folder, whatever it is, right? So it changes with respect to like how the files are moving with respect to working directory, staging area, local repository. Physically, it's the same folder, but logically, that's how it is different. Understood? Any questions? Maybe you might be having certain questions. If you see with the hands-on, it would be clear. But still, if you have any other questions you want to clarify at the moment, you can feel free to ask. So this is one thing. And another thing we need to understand is, like, let's say, yeah, one more thing. How to create this local repository. How to create Git local repository. There are multiple use cases to do this. Actually, 2 use cases. The first one is, let's say you joined a company, right? And it's a completely new project, right? There's nothing on remote. So you can create an empty local repository. Okay, put your files there and then push to remote. This is one thing. Second use case is, let's say you joined a project which is some 6-year-old project. Right now you want to put your files here and contribute to it. You may copy from remote and create a local repository. So these are the 2 use cases you may create. First, we'll go today with this first use case. Second use case we'll cover tomorrow. Like assume like it's a new project, right? It's a new project. There's nothing on remote. So you have to get started with. So we can create an empty Git repository and make the changes and push it, right? So let's get started with the first use case. Yes, Mukesh, you are unmuted. You can unmute and go on. Any question?
That can you share this one notes map?
Come again, please.
Can you share this one notes map?
Yes, all of this will be shared in your LMS. All this presentation, this architectural
Yeah.
diagram is there in LMS. Again, at the last end of the class, I'll also walk you through the LMS where all of these are present.
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
Right. So this is the Git architecture. See, understanding this architecture is very important. This architectural diagram should be there in your mind when you do the hands-on. That's how you can troubleshoot and understand the things better, right? So now let's get to the hands-on. Before that, Git works on multiple operating systems, right? Git works on multiple operating systems, like it works on Windows, Mac, Linux, and so on. And also the concepts, the commands remain same, whether it is Windows or Mac or Linux, whatever it is. Only installation or the setup differs, right? That's all. Again, the concepts, commands, everything remains same. So for Git, you can choose your own operating system. Like, we don't need to get into cloud for this. You can just get started with this on your own laptop, right? So let's see first how to install Git and how to get started with this. So first, let us install Git. So how do we do that? So just go to Google and give install Git download. All these links, everything are available in the LMS for you. So you'll be navigated to this page. So depending on your operating system, whether it is Windows or Linux or Mac, you can just go for it. Like, let's say if it is Mac, you can just go for it. Run this command in your terminal, right? If it is Windows, you can go here. You have to download this executable and run the executable. Even those steps, means including the steps of how to do it, were also available here. By now, you might have got access to your LMS. Once you go to your LMS, like this is the one, right? If you just go here. So this is the class for Git. Right, once you go to that first day of Git, first class of Git, here you have lab exercises. If you just go here, you can see all those steps of how to do it on Windows, Mac, Linux, everything are there, right? Not only this, here in this LMS, if you just go to this Google Drive, it's not actually a Google Drive, a drive within your LMS. And here you can see again, the same thing, like a different folders for each tool. And if you go to Git, which we are covering now, here are the installation basic commands, like how do you work with it and all. And there should be, here is a separate document for installation on Windows. It's very simple, pretty straightforward. You can just hit on next and install Git, including the screenshots. It's available in a more detailed way, right? And also the presentation which we are talking about, the architectural diagram, everything were available here, right? The presentation which I have used, everything. Got it? All right, let's come back to Git installation. So if you have any questions on this, we'll take up that. We'll take up again towards the end. So if it is Linux, you have Linux system, you can just go with this commands. For now, I have a Mac and I have installed Git. And in Mac, you may launch your terminal this way. This is the terminal, right? And now as Git is installed, already it's installed, I have installed it. So if I run git -- version, it will give you the Git version, what it is installed, and that, like, we have the Git installed here. Now everything is perfect. Now, okay, fine, Git is installed on my system. Now, how to use Git to version control my project, right? So, like I told you, let's say, assume I joined the project, which is a completely new, there's nothing on remote. So, I have to create an empty local repository where I would put all my project files, right? So, how do I get that empty repository? I may create some folder where I would put all my project files. I'm naming it as Git demo. MKDIR means make directory, create a directory from the CLI. if you are not, we will learn this separately in Linux basics. If you want, you can just create it from the UI as well. Like go to your Windows Explorer and create it from the GUI. That is perfectly fine. Like on the desktop, right click and create a new folder. Right? This is how you can do. If it is Windows or Mac or Linux, whatever it is, just create a folder by going here and create a folder this way. As of now, I just did it from the UI. Right? So folder is created. Now I want to go into this folder. So this is the folder. ls, there is nothing. ls means it will list the files and folders of it. There is nothing here. Now I want to create this as a local repository or working directory, whatever you call it, because that's one and the same, right? Now, how do you create an empty local repository? So go to the directory wherever you want to keep your project files and run the command called git init. Git init means initialize git or start git. Means it will tell git to version control any files and folders in this particular directory or folder. If you are comfortable to see this, you can also visualize this from here. This is the one I just created, right? An empty folder. So run the command git init. So if you run this, it says initialize empty repository. It shows you the path, this git demo path, and it's showing .git. Whenever you run this, it will be like creating a hidden file called .git. You can check out here. Hidden files, to see the hidden files, ls-a. Right? Or else if it is Windows, just go to view and select show hidden files. You can see the hidden files, right? Okay. So here I can see .git means this git demo is a local repository. That's a working directory as well. But there were no files here, right? So let us create some file, right? Let's create some file here. I'm just going to this folder and creating some file, new file. You may create here using these options, or else you may create again using some Linux command. Touch file one. Touch will just create a file, right? So I have the file created. You don't need to install any Linux for this, Manoj. This is a Mac, right? So when you open your terminal, you can run the commands. Or else in Windows also, once you install your Git, you have to go to start menu and launch Git bash in Windows. Means a window will open where you can run these commands. You don't need to install any Linux for it. Okay. So, or else you can just do it from the UI. Like I'm telling you, right? Go to the folder, right click and create it. If you want to edit this, open, type something, save it. You can do this way also. You don't need to do it with the CLI. Are we comfortable? Good. Understood? Don't do with the CLI if you are not comfortable. So file is created. So now, yes, the file is created. Now, can you tell me where is the file with respect to the architecture? Whether it is in the working directory or in the staging area or in the local repository, where is this file?
Working directory.
We just discussed some time back. File means, where is it? To understand this, let's see. Let's run the command git status. Physically, it's in the same folder, right? It's in the git demo folder. But let's see this. See, untracked file means Git knows there is a file, but Git cannot track it and it is giving you clue. But untracked file, please use git add to track. Means it is asking us to add it to the staging directory. Is it making sense? It's asking us to add it to the staging directory so that it can version control it. Right? It's in the working directory. Right? So now what you can do, git add file 1. Now, where is this file? See the status. Changes to be committed, not committed. To be committed means where is that? Just check the architectural diagram and answer it. To be committed
Yeah,
means
staging area.
I
Staging
want
area.
answers from everyone. You can put it in the chat window or raise your hands if you know the answer. I can unmute you. Let's have an interactive sessions. Anshu, you are unmuted.
It is in staging area.
It is in the staging area because it says changes to be committed. Perfect. So, okay, fine. Now what you have to do, you have to run the command git commit -m and then some commit message, first commit or first file. It's up to you. I repeat, it's a git commit -m flag. M means message. Message means the commit message. It's like a comment to tell what this commit is all about, right? So git commit will move them to local repository. I have done that. Now, if you see status, do you see a different message? Yes. Where is the file now?
It is
Physical.
in
Yes. Go on, please.
yeah, it is in our local repository.
Locally, physically, it's in the same folder. It's in the Git demo folder, but logically, it's different, and that's how it works. This working directory, staging area, local repository concept is very important. We see people working on Git without having this kind of knowledge or the basics. If you miss this basics, it will be a nightmare to work in the projects because you don't understand if some problem comes in and all. Having clarity, crystal clarity on these basics will help you stand out of the crowd. Like you would be the having a good grip over the subject, which is very important to sustain in the market, right? So that's how it works. It's the same folder. Physically, it's the same folder. If you want, you can just go to your Windows Explorer and check out, right? This is the folder where it is present. But logically, that's how it moves. Shall we repeat it with one more file so that you would understand the flow better? Yeah, let me repeat it with another file so that I want to hear from you guys. So I'll create one more file. Again, I'm telling you, you don't need to use CLI for creating files and folders. You open your Windows Explorer and create them. Here I am creating a file, touchfile2.txt. You just open your Explorer and you can create it, right? That's perfectly all right. We will learn Linux separately. Until then, you just do it from the UI. So yes, let me create it. So I have a file. If you want, just you can check here as well. So another file came up in this folder. Now, yes, I have got this file, file 2. Now, just check the status. Can you tell me before running it, what would be the message would be like? Like we have seen this for one file, this is for second file. How would it look like?
Files are to be tracked or something.
Okay, any more answers where you can point to the exact message?
Here it's showing untracked files.
Untracked files, yeah.
Exactly. It will show like untracked. Understanding these messages is also very important, right? So for the first time, it will show like untracked. See, untracked means like Git knows there is a file, but it will not track it until you add it. So it is telling us to add it. Until then, it would be like untracked. It will ask us to add it. So can you tell me now where is this file? Manoj, Git is installed on my Mac. Okay, Git will not be installed in a folder. Git is installed on my laptop, on my system. And we will create some folder anywhere in the system, any path, and ask Git to version control by making it a local repository. How do you make it as a local repository? Create a folder and run the command git in it so that it becomes a local repository and Git will be tracking only that particular folder. Understood? Right. So where is this file to now?
Staging area.
No, untracked file. I did not
Tracked
add
file.
it yet. It is in the working directory, right? This is in the working directory. Refer this architectural diagram always. This is in the working directory, right? Okay, for it to track, what should we do? We should move it to the staging area or index area. How do we do that?
So in that case, I have to need git add dot.
Git add.
Git add file name.
Yes.
Yeah, you can also write git add dot. In this case, you have to edit all files.
Git add dot means it will add everything, whatever is in the working directory.
Yeah.
Git
Yes.
add
You
file
have
name.
multiple files, or if you want to do everything in the working directory, you use dot. Otherwise, specify the file name. Okay. So git add. Now, can you tell me what would be the status message?
A staging area.
Your files are going to
Staging
save.
area.
It is in the staging area. Means staging area means how it will tell us. Changes to be committed. To be committed means where are those changes? See this diagram. They are in the staging area. They are not yet committed. To be committed. So what we do? Commit. Git commit minus
Minus
m
M.
message. Some commit message so that you could understand what this commit is all about. Done. So both the files are there in the local repository. Now at this point, if you see status, working tree clean means whatever in the staging, whatever in the working directory, staging area were all committed. Right? So this is about it. And
If we read it again, we have to do the same thing, right? Git status -m like that.
read it means?
Re-edit. If we
Re-edit.
do the
Okay,
changes.
modifications.
Yeah.
We will see. Okay, modifications also we'll see. But before going to the modifications, like whatever commits we have done, whenever you run a commit command, it will generate a commit ID. Commit ID means some alphanumeric ID, right? Which is used to refer it. You can see that with a git log. See, this is the alphanumeric commit ID hash code generated whenever you commit, including the author, like who made the changes and all. You can configure this username and email ID with this command git config. This is only one time task. Git config global dot username and email and put the username. These commands, if you run once in your system, it will be registered with those. Because I have it's not my first time, it was registered with this. If you need those exact commands also were there in the lab assignment here, like everything here.
One suggestion. If,
Yes.
like, shall we go with, see, when you're explaining what is the staging area local repository, we are using certain commands, right? Like git add -m, git add, git file name, git commit, something like that, right? So shall we also focus on the commands as well, parallelly?
We were focusing on the commands, meaning I'm running these
Uh,
commands and showing you.
No. Considering git status, what and all it will show. Git commit, what it will do, something like that. Like if you are, whenever we are asking what this will do, like git log you are showing, right? Something like that.
That's what we are doing. Git status, I've explained, right? What git status will do, what git commit will do. We are explaining the command and proceeding.
Okay.
See here, git log will show you the commit history. Like I have done 2 commits, so 2 commits are there, right? This is how it shows. And like how to configure global user were available here, right? In the instruction documents, you have all of that. You can check it out here, right? So now you have the commit history this way. Like we discussed, right? Version control systems will help you logging. Right, this is at what time those changes were done. Monday, Feb 3rd, 8/22, this is the commit message. So including the timestamp, which person made the changes, a detailed history is available, right? So this is the log. And let's suppose you just want to see only brief log, not a detailed log. You can also use git log one line so that it will just show you the brief log. This is the detailed log. Brief log meaning just the first 7 characters are enough to refer to any commit ID. So first 7 characters and the commit message, right? You can see that way. And if you want to see what changes are done in that commit, git to show that particular first 7 characters. Copy it, put it in the git show. So it will show you, see here, which file is modified, like file 2, it's showing everything, right? So that is how you can use these commands. These are all the commands, like whatever commands I'm running, all these commands I've explained. And also for you to do the hands-on, you don't need to take any running notes or anything now. Just listen here thoroughly. Every command, including the explanation, is available in this LMS. Do you see what git status does? And git add does, including explanation is there, so that when you do the hands-on, you can recollect and you can revise and go on, right?
Ma'am, can you explain that online, Git log online?
One line means it will show you brief log. Like if you do git log, it's showing detailed log, right? Like including the author, timestamp, everything. But if you just want to see brief log, just the commit ID and the message. So git log one line means brief log will be shown, not a detailed log like this. Just the commit ID and the commit message.
What is that headmaster second
We
file?
will learn those things, okay? We'll go one by one. We'll come to that part. This is under branching concept.
Okay.
Any more questions? What is head? What is master? What is branch? We are going there. We'll go step by step. You can register to get the LMS access, Manoj. You can go here and create a free account. Until like 3 sessions, you'll have that access for everyone. So you can just log into this website, create an account and have the access. Right? So this is about the log and the show and the status. Right? Let us look into another interesting aspect. Till now, yes.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, please.
In the Windows, we use a Git bash
Hmm.
for the
Yes.
command line.
Yes.
Okay.
Once you install Git, right, go to the start menu and you will launch the Git bash. Here I have shown you, right, this is the page where you have screenshots. How do you install on Windows and how to launch it? See, if you go to your start menu, select Git bash, it will open again a terminal. There you can run all these commands. Everything is there here with the step-by-step screenshots.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So whether it is Git bash or Mac terminal or Linux terminal, like concepts or commands doesn't change. Only setup. Git setup is also very simple. It's a lightweight tool. You can straight away install it on your laptop. Okay. Coming back, now let us modify some files. We have created a file, right? And then initially it's in the working directory. We move to staging area and then to local. Let us now see modifying a file. Okay, let me open it here. File 1. Okay, I am just adding another line. By the way, see here, I'm just creating some simple text files. If it is a developer, it could be some Java files or C# files, or if it is a DevOps engineer, it will be Kubernetes manifest files. Whatever it is, whether it is a Kubernetes file or a Java program for developers, the concept of Git, how do you add, how do you commit, this is irrespective of what file it is. So as of now, we are not focusing on the file. I'm just creating with the sample files. But very soon, like once we start those respective tools, we'll be using it throughout the course from the beginning till the end, because we will be working with Kubernetes files and all. To version control them, we'll be using it throughout the course. So there we'll be applying the same to those real files. So nothing changes with the file. So I'm just using text file and I have just modified this file. So I made a modification. Can you tell me where would be this modification or that new line or a change, whatever you call it? Where will it be in a staging area or working directory or local repository? Yes.
It's in staging area.
In the local.
See, that particular modification. See, Git works with respect to changes, right? That change could be deleting a file. The change could be creating a file. The change could be editing or modifying a file. It could be anything, but Git follows the same flow. Means your modifications will be there first in the working directory. Yes, Ashan. Ashan has answered it right as a working directory. Then you have to move it to the staging area, then to the local repository. Any change, right? Anything is a change in Git, like modifications or creation of a file and all. Now, what would be the status message showing us?
Here, untracked files are being
Oh.
working directory.
Untracked files are in the working directory, correct?
If we change anything also, it will be in working directory.
If we change anything also, like modifications also in the working directory, but there is a
Okay.
difference. They will be no more called as untracked file.
Okay, change it to
Because see,
staging.
it's not a new file, right? File is
Ah.
already there in staging area.
Okay.
Only that particular modification or a change is there in the working directory. So we call it as not staged changes. Not staged changes means what is meant by not staged changes?
That existing file didn't change any name.
Just we are changing
Not
internally.
staged means yes, unstaged, right? Means unstaged means only this particular modification is unstaged, is in the working directory, but the file is already staged.
Okay.
You have to understand this message, understand the difference between staged, unstaged and untracked. That could be an important interview question as well. Like if the interviewer want to check your expertise in the subject, that could be a question. I would be interested to ask this. Like, what is the difference between unstaged and untracked? Because we, like, generally people, if they directly start working without learning these things, they straight away move to the project somehow and they get started working with it and they just go with the flow without having this kind of understanding, right? So the difference between untracked is if it is a new file for the first time, it will be shown as untracked. If it is not a new file, right? Only modifications are there. It would be unstaged. But both are in the working directory. This is the point you have to make a note of. Correct? So it is telling you add and commit. So what you have to do if it is untracked, again add and then commit. And here also, yes, you can do git add, git commit, or else here there is one more option. Because it's not a new file, you can add and commit in a single line using AM flag. A means add and commit. You cannot do this in the case of new files. Here you cannot do this. But for here unstaged changes, you can use both. But here you can use only one. Got it clear, everyone? I want all the participants to have the subject clear. Is this much clear for all of you? Could
Yeah.
you identify the difference between unstaged and untracked?
Yes.
Everyone, you can confirm me with a thumbs up or the chat window, or you can unmute and speak out. But I want to know how well you are following. Everyone should respond, interact in the class. Okay, so git commit. So what you can do, git commit. So let me run. This time I'll run -am, right? Because like we already did that separately. Now -am, let's say file modification, right? Perfect. -am means it will add and commit. So when I see the status, it should be all clean. Now my changes are there in the local repository. Got it? I will show you another. Okay. Can I proceed for the next scenario? Next command.
Oh, ma'am, you given the file modification, right, in the name that git commit flag
Commit
given.
message. That's called commit message.
Okay, file modification in the same file.
Commit message.
Okay, where it will be changes, ma'am? It will change the file name or?
This is the commit message. Means your commit will be registered with this message. It's like a comment. Let's
Okay.
suppose as we progress, we create Terraform files, you made some change relevant to EC2 instance creation. You may give that comment so that later point of time when you see this log, you understand what this commit is all about. Okay, this commit is about EC2 change. It's like a comment. Comment means you want to identify it later. This comment will help you.
It is like a version change.
It's not a version change, it's a commit message. That's called commit message.
Yeah, my doubt is which file it is committed, ma'am. First one or second file?
Okay, whenever you run commit, it's not with respect to the files.
Okay.
Commit means whenever you run the commit, whatever in the staging area will be committed. It might be 2 files, it might be 3 files. Whatever
Okay.
in the staging area will be committed with this commit command, right? So what are all those changes you will see here? When you see git to show this commit message, you will see that, right? What are all changes done? Git show, where is this? Okay, first 7 characters. It will show you what are all the files that went modification. So only one file in this case, right? You don't commit the file. You will commit the changes. That's another thing you have to make a note of. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Ma'am, can you open the one-time file, ma'am? File open, please.
like Preeti, git commit is nothing but that untracked files add.
Just
We're
a
going to
second.
save that
Just
files.
a second. Just a second, Ajay. Let me clarify this question. I opened this file.
Okay, I didn't see. We did changes here, right? Hi, hello. I didn't see in that command what are the changes we made. We don't see.
Hello is the one we made the change, right?
Yeah, we did changes here, but when we see that modified in command terminal, it is not showing what line we have changed like that.
What changes here it is showing, right?
Oh yeah, okay, now got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Ajay. Something.
As Preeti, by using git commit, what the changes we done, we're going to save that, right? By using,
What changes we have done, those are moved to local repository.
by using git command, we can save.
We are moving them to local repository.
Yes, yes.
When you modify the file, it is saved, right? You want to move it to local repository.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, this one is already moved to the local repository, right? We already committed in the last, before editing this.
We already?
We already committed that file, right? Before edited.
Yeah, that is for that particular first change.
Yes, correct.
Now we made again some changes. You have to, whenever you make a change, you have to go through the same process. That's what I'm telling. Git
Ah.
works with respect to changes. You have to add it, you have to commit it each time you make any modifications.
Okay. So, ma'am, one is once we commit command applied to that file, it went to the local repository, right?
Yes.
So whenever we open and remodify the file, so it will come to the working directory.
Yes. Whenever you modify, you add a line, that line will be in this working directory.
Okay, then we'll once we modify it done, and then we'll go to the git add and then git commit.
Git add and then git commit.
Okay, so the main thing is once we commit, it will store on the local repository. Once we edit, it will come back in the working directory.
Come back means logically. You have to
Yeah.
understand. It's the same folder, git demo folder, right? Logically, yes.
Logically, okay.
Come back in the sense only that modification will be there in the, only that new line you added will be in the working directory.
Okay.
File will be still there. That's why the difference between unstaged and untracked.
Yeah. So once we modify it, done, then the same commands will be applied on that git add and the git commit. Then it will save on the local repository again.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
thank.
So, any more questions? So let me just repeat this, like whatever we have done, modification, we have seen how to move, right? Let me just show you one more. I just want to show you one more command. For this reason, I'm just creating this folder. I mean, creating a new file. Just a second, please. I'll open this Git demo. Okay. So this is the one, right? I'm just creating, I want to create only 2 files are there, right? Like I just want to create one more file, right? I'm using touch command file3. Okay. File is created. Git status. Can you tell me what would be the message now with git status?
It's
Untracked.
untracked files.
Untracked file, right? So untracked. Now you would add it, right? And also, like if you see, ls means it will list the files in that particular folder. But if you want to see the files in the staging directory and local repository, git ls files. Git ls files will show the files in the staging area and the local repository. See, file3 is not there, right? That's another way to check. Understood? ls will show all the files in the working directory, but git ls files will show if it is there in the staging and local repository. File3 is not there. Understood? Now, okay, it's in the working directory. What should we do? It's not listed in the staging area. What should we do? Correct? So this file will be now moved to staging area. Now ls will show this, as well as git ls files also will show this, right? Also, we know git status, when you run this, it will be changes to be committed. To be committed means, where are those changes? Can you tell with respect to the diagram, architecture?
Staging area.
It is staging area.
Obviously in the staging area. So what I'll do, git commit -m, third file or a new file, whatever it is. Right? Done. Now, if you see the status, it would be clean. Right? Understood, everyone? See, this basic concept is very important. Everyone should understand with clarity. Thanks for the thumbs up. And if you are good and clear, thank you guys. Anyone want any questions, like want to speak, let me know. So this is one thing. And there is one more question in the questionnaire. Let me take up the question. You are seeing an error, email address, git config global user. Have you used it, Swapnil? Git
Yes, ma'am.
config
I
global.
have used this one.
Yes, that is there in the LMS, like I have shown you. If you go here, that is available. That's what I'm showing. For the first time, it will ask you. And this command is present here, git config global user.
Git config global user and user.emails and
Right.
also git config user.name. And you
Yes.
have to define username of GitHub.
Yes. Yes. So let me just walk you through what we discussed today before we go on for the next part. We were focusing on the what is a version control system, right? And why do we need this version control system? And who uses this version control system, right? These are all the things we discussed. And then version control system types we have discussed. Centralized version control system and then distributed version control system. And then we understood the advantages of distributed version control system where Git comes under this. And we were talking about, and then we discussed about Git architecture, which is very important. Git architecture, in this we got a clarity on working directory, staging area, local repository, right? And how your changes move from working to staging local. And then we have seen Git installation, right, on different OS. And then we started with a very simple commands like git init to tell Git to version control which project or which folder, and then git status, git add, git commit. These are the simple commands we use today. And then git ls files, right? And then git log one line. Any other, yeah, one more command we used is git commit -am and the message, right? Any other commands we missed? To see the list of the commands you have used, you can use history, or to see the like to clear your screen, clear commands. Those are general commands, generally used commands, not specific to Git. Whenever you want to clear your screen, you can use clear the list of the commands through history. We are not yet done. Okay, don't drop off. Please wait for a couple of minutes. Any questions in any of these topics? By now, you should be able to answer all of these queries. What Git init is, and what is a local repository, what is a staging area, how is it physically the same folder, how is it logically different? All of these questions you might be able to answer by now. Correct? Are we good? And also one more important thing to forgot to list out. We have analyzed the differences between unstaged and untracked changes as well. ls command, or in git bash it will work, Manoj. ls command will work on git bash. Git bash is a terminal where you can run git commands which will provide you some bash like terminal. ls commands, make directory command, touch file name. These are Linux commands. We will learn these commands separately. Separate lesson is there for Linux basics. So these are optional. You can create them from the UI and you can see them from the user interface. You have to install Git, Manoj. If you install Git, Git bash will be there automatically on Windows. If you still have query, I just have shown you, right? Like here is the installation document, Git installation document with all the screenshots. See, you have to install Git, download the executable, run the executable. That's all. You have to hit next on every step. And then Git bash will be installed. So you have to go to your start menu like this and launch Git bash. If you still need any help, there is a separate WhatsApp group. You can post your queries there, post the screenshots if you are stuck up during the hands-on. And also, like every day, you should go for this quiz and complete the quiz on every day. For today, because you might not be having access to your LMS, I'm sharing this quiz here. This is the quiz based on today's topic. There might be few questions out of topic. That's for you to explore, which would be covered in the next day. Can you go through the quiz? You'll be also seeing the results. That's to check how much you understood. Please go through the quiz and submit your score. We'll also receive the score. You will also see the right answers received. In your LMS, you have that quiz. If you want to complete all the quizzes or during your interviews and all, complete portal is available here with all of that. Any questions from anyone? As it is a day one, we covered a few concepts like the basics and the fundamentals. There are many things coming up like branching, merging, how two people will work on the same file at the same time, right? How can Git help without overwriting or without ignoring? All of these concepts we will cover.
I have a question, please.
Yes, please.
How we can access the Git site?
You mean GitHub?
Yes, please.
We did not start GitHub
Okay,
yet,
okay,
Sarkeshwar. Okay, we will start GitHub. I'll be covering GitHub also.
So in Windows, I have installed the Git bash. Where the files stored, man?
You have to create some folder or go to the folder in your terminal. In your Git bash, you
Okay.
have, let's say this is your Explorer, right? On my desktop, I created some folder called Git demo, right? You may create from the UI. Now go to your Git bash and go to this folder from your Git bash.
Okay, got it. So wherever we open the file,
You have to open that location in the Git.
that location. Oh, got it. Thank you, ma'am.
Any more questions? Any questions related to DevOps or anything else you have?
Can I install Mac operating system in our own system, ma'am?
You can install Git in any operating system. Yes, you can.
Right now, ma'am, I am working in Linux, but now I want to install Mac operating system, ma'am. That's why I am asking.
You can go to this step, okay, Git downloads page, go to Mac. Here is the command, brew install Git. Run this in your terminal. You should be able to install Git there.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Right? And whatever we have discussed, if you just go to your LMS here, if you just go to the lab exercise, you have all of them there. Or else in the Google Drive, if you click on Google Drive, here are all the files and whatever we were discussing, including the architectural diagram. Some of you are asking about the architectural diagram. Yes, this architectural diagram is also available here. Architectural diagram is available. Installation on Windows is available. This is the architectural diagram. And this is the day one, right? Git installation, the basic commands, whatever we have discussed, everything is present in here, right? See here, git config, global username, user email, all of them were here, right? So what is a working directory, staging area, all the commands, everything here. And all the summary of the commands we discussed for hands-on. So that the whole point is we have curated these pages so that it will save a lot of your time to get with your hands. You will not have access to this drive unless you are registered, but you will be having access to these assignments, right? Like when you click this lab exercise, you'll have access to these assignments. This Google Drive, you'll get access once you register to the LMS. So any further queries and for like any questions you won't have to discuss or anything, you can just reach out to us on this number available on the website and we'll be there to help you guys. Right? For the hands-on, you can post the queries in the WhatsApp group. Same WhatsApp group for now until you are moved to the private WhatsApp group. There'll be a separate private WhatsApp group for all the enrolled registered candidates. Anything else you have? So that is all from my end. And we'll close here for today and we'll continue from tomorrow. Right, with the more interesting concepts like a branching, merging with conflicts, without conflicts, rebase, restash, revert, ignore, lot many things coming up. Of course, not everything tomorrow, but yeah, these are all in the pipeline. Duration of this course is 2 months, Ram. It will be 2 months duration. Every day it will be 1.5 hour class.
Priti, when we are going to hands-on, like
Hands-on, we started the hands-on today, right?
yeah, but we have to practice
You mean you guys have to practice after the class, complete
okay.
this hands-on, these assignments before tomorrow's class. Like these are the assignments you have to finish. You have to complete these assignments from tomorrow, like before you join tomorrow. Today, as it is day one, the assignments are simple. As we go by, you will have many other assignments. Today, you have to go here and here are the assignments to complete.
Is it possible to share my screen? Like
Regarding?
recording, just now I installed Git, but while I creating file, it's showing some error.
Okay, just give me a second. And Ramakrishna says it's not weekend, Ramakrishna. It will be Monday to Friday. Classes will be Monday to Friday. It includes AWS services. Yes, Ram. And who want to share the screen? Is it Ajay?
Yes, yes.
Just
Where
a
it show, where my option? Here not showing any screen option, screen sharing.
Are you not seeing screen share option?
No, I want to share my screen.
You should be seeing a share screen option.
Yes, yes.
Are you not seeing it?
Oh, no, I'm not seeing.
Do one thing, please post the screenshot in the WhatsApp right away so that I can check and help you out.
Just how to create the file.
Give the screenshot of the error.
Yeah.
You shared it?
Like Preeti, it's a step-by-step process, no? Just for everyone where it's showing our screen share.
See, whatever screen share, if you are not seeing, I'm asking you to please post that screenshot in the WhatsApp group. Take the screenshot of the error, post it in the WhatsApp group. If you
Yeah,
can't
okay.
take the screenshot, copy the error and post it so that we'll see what is that error.
In a total, where is it?
WhatsApp group. You are there in the WhatsApp group, right?
Yes,
For
yes, yes.
2025.
Um,
Now, what is the difference between git bash and git command?
Git bash is an interface where you run the git commands.
Okay. So I have seen after I installed git cmd execution file and git bash.
this is the my installation.
So what are you trying to do now?
Just I want to create
This
my
is the
file.
command prompt. This is
Command prompt. I would like to first I want to add some touch file.
first open your git bash, go to the start menu and open the git bash. That's where you have to run the commands, not in command prompt.
Okay, I just open git bash.
That's what I'm telling you. You have to launch your git bash to run the commands.
Okay. Right.
All right, then. So that's all for today. Ajay, please run the commands, right? Open your git bash, and if you are again stuck up there, post that screenshot in the WhatsApp group, right?
Yeah,
We'll
okay.
to respond.
Okay.
Seems it's taking some time. Launch your git bash and let us know, like, if it doesn't go well. Okay. All right, then. That is all from my end. See you all tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye, everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye.